Klee finally has her rerun after a whole year of waiting, and whether or not you enjoy playing Klee, you can't deny the fact that she is a really cute, adorable little girl. Either way, if you've clicked on this video, it would mean that you're planning on using Klee and is wondering which team to build her with. And in this video, we'll go through just that. We'll look into Klee's top 5 best team that synergizes with her playstyle really well, because Klee gameplay is actually pretty unique, guys. If you don't know how to play her properly, you will have trouble using her. All the team have been tested to do fantastic in the Abyss, so you can choose which team to go for that suits your best liking. If you're new to the channel, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more of my upcoming videos on Genshin Impact. And with that, let's just hop into the video. Before we go into teams, it's absolutely crucial that you take note on some of the most important thing about Klee and her gameplay, in which the first one would be animation cancel. Yes, of all the characters I have played, Klee was the character that required the most animation cancel and timing to her gameplay. Who would have thought that the youngest Knight of Favonius would be the hardest to master? Klee have been known as one of the clunkiest character, and the main reason being her attack animation. It's actually very slow, therefore you have to learn animation cancel to maximize her DPS. Not to mention managing your stamina, as she does need to spam her charge attack as much as possible. So in order to play Klee well, here are the 2 basic animation cancel you'd want to master, which is first, you repeat your normal attack, in which you hold down forward and repeatedly tap her normal attack, and by doing so she will automatically cancel her attack in only doing her first animation attack, which is actually the fastest and have a higher scaling than her second animation. You can do this repeatedly during the time when she is out of stamina. However, when she does have stamina, you want to do one normal attack and then into her charge attack and then jump cancel, and then you repeat that if you still have stamina to spare. That would generally help you get the highest DPS for Klee, plus jumping cancel helps you gets back her animation a lot quicker. Or you can do a 2 normal attack into her charge attack and then jump cancel. 2 normal attack into charge attack is also fine, as it does give you a bit of room for stamina regen. Either way, it is important to master her cancel in order for Klee to perform at her best. Second is that her charge attack will be her best kit. The reason being is that it does the most damage out of all of her attack, plus it has the ability to stun lock enemies in place. Using this in quick session and stun locking your enemies, meaning that you will likely be able to take them out without needing to even dodge, just as if they are frozen in place. Klee also has an amazing passive that gives her 50% chance to gain an explosive spark from her E skills or normal attack dealing damage. This gives her the next charge attack to not consume stamina and deals an extra 50% damage increase, which is insane. Her charge attack already have a really good scaling, and her passive just takes it to the next level, allowing her to have the ability to do even more charge attack, helping your stamina management a lot easier. So learning to play Klee also means that you want to learn to deal as much charge attack as possible. Third is that her skills and burst does snapshots, which means that if it is cast during Benny's burst, once Bennett's burst ends, Klee's skills and burst will still have the buff for the rest of its duration, which is very convenient. Fourth is that Klee can feel like a melee character at times, because her attack as a catalyst user has pretty short range. That comes especially her charge attack, which only do damage at melee range, stands a bit further and you're losing stamina without your enemies taking damage. So you will have to take some time to get used to her positioning as well. Those are some of the most important things you want to remember when playing Klee. Now let's just hop into Klee's top teams. First team, we have Klee, Benny, Xiangling, and Kazuha. Klee shines really well in Mono Pyro team, which is also one of her top go-to teams across all of the teams that will be discussed in the later part, because of how effective it actually is, while also being quite easy to play because you don't have to manage your reaction damage all that much. Bennett here will mostly be on all of Klee's team because of his insane attack support, plus Klee's abilities to snapshot while able to heal the team. He just fills in multiple roles burst, which leaves spots on the team for you to put in other characters. Xiangling is fantastic with Klee, also especially if you have her on higher constellation like a C6 that gives Klee an extra 15% pyro damage bonus during pyronado duration and the chance of you getting an extra 10% attack increase from the chili that Woba drops. Kazuha will also be very recommended on Klee's team because you already know how much of an amazing support and buff he gives to the team, but that's not all. His ability to group Klee's small mind from Jumpty Dumpty, helping you make use of all of them, is very important as well. For the rotation, you'd want to keep that in mind a bit to pull out the best potential of everyone on the team. You first start off with Benny's E to Kazuha's EQ to Bennett's QE to Xiangling's QE to Kazuha's E so that he can swirl pyro for Klee, and then after that you go into Klee to annihilate everything. This will ensure that Klee gets all the support she can have from the supporter and off-field damage of the team. This team will do well in practically every situation except Pyro Shield, where it's basically impossible to break if you do come up against a Pyro Abyss Lecter or something, so do keep that in mind if you see you'll be going up a Pyro Shield. Second team, we have Klee, Zhongli, Albedo and Bennett, a team with double Pyro Resonance and Geo Resonance, which gives a lot of attack buff for Klee. On top of that, you get even better shield strength increase in case you sometimes have trouble having Klee faints a lot because she is a lower HP character. Bennett here to provide support and healing as always, while Albedo is amazing at providing off-field damage for Klee, Zhongli for shielding and a lot of resistance shred for Klee to deal more damage, not to mention the buff you also have from Zhongli running a 4-piece tenacity. It's a very simple team to run that deals a very good damage number. For the rotation, you first start off with Zhongli's E to Benny's EQ to Albedo's EQ to Zhongli's Q and then to Klee. Third team, we have Klee, Yelan, Kazuha and Bennett, a vaporized team that Klee works fantastic in. Benny and Kazuha here to provide the usual synergy support, with Yelan to provide constant hydro off-field damage and hydro application. You do want to make sure you have Yelan's burst on at all time because Klee won't get vaporized reaction otherwise. You do want to keep in mind the rotation of this team as well for the maximum damage output, first being Bennett's E to Kazuha's EQ to Benny's QE and then to Yelan's EQ and finally to Klee. That way Yelan's burst will stay with Klee for as long as possible. Fourth team, we have Klee, Benny, Fischl and Beidou. Overload aren't usually preferred by many players since Klee has access to a bit of range attack. It will be fine considering overload damage cannot be underestimated. It's also a very strong composition for Klee because of the staggering effects overload already have on top of Klee's ability to stun lock enemies many of the time. You will be able to clear out your enemies without them being able to hit you, just as if you're running a freeze team. While obviously you won't be able to stun lock your enemies 100% of the time, but the percentage of you able to do that in this team is really high. Energy for burst in this team is also largely lessened due to our double electro resonance, plus Fischl being the best energy recharger in the game, allowing Klee and especially Beidou's burst to be on most of the time. However, for Beidou you still want to have her energy recharge to at least 150% for a comfortable burst uptime. As for the most important thing on this team is to have Klee have a constant electro off-field damage support for a lot of overload damage as well. The rotation for this team will be Benny's EQ to Fischl's E to Beidou's EQ and then to Klee. That will ensure everyone gets the buff and pull out the full potential of the team. Fifth team, we have Klee, Rosaria, Kazuha and Benny. Klee's melt team is fantastic also, however you do want to make sure your cryo character application is active most of the time. We have Benny's and Kazuha here for the usual synergy support, and then there's Rosaria, one of the best support cryo character in the game right now with her ability to melt every hit. As mentioned above, her main source of cryo application would be through her burst, meaning you'd want to have her burst on at all time if possible. Luckily she doesn't have too high of a burst requirement, which means this is easier to keep up. Positioning her to set up her burstful cryo application is important as well, especially when you're up against a large group of enemies that can scatter around a lot. This is a very good team to run with larger boss enemies, but still amazing with grouped enemies. You just have to position yourself correctly. To make the most out of this team, you'd want to keep in mind the rotation, first being Benny's QE to Kazuha's EQ to Rosaria's QE and then to Klee. Now Klee is an amazing pyro DPS if you know how to play her correctly. She does take time to master, but when you do, it feels really good having her on the team. Those are the top 5 teams on Klee. Now I hope that you have more clarity on how to build Klee's team. There are a lot more options to run her with, so if you do have any other interesting option, do let me know down in the comment section. If you're interested in more Klee content, then I have a fun video going through why Klee is still godly amazing in patch 2.8. Be sure to check it out, as I'm sure you will have a fun time with it. If you're new to the channel guys, be sure to subscribe to not miss out on my future Genshin Impact videos. And with that, I wish you a super day and I will catch you on the next video.